Unfiltered. Big respect. Now, Medellin Unfiltered. I've come across your content, and I like your content. You know what I mean. You give your perspective. I actually came across you on Instagram, and you was having a conversation with somebody about, I think it was about Parquilleras. Now, I never been to Medellin. You understand what I'm saying? I have been watching with videos on the Colombia meta. I was one of the guys that was when the Passport Bros first came out. I used to clowning the Passport Bros. That's why I was trolling them. And when I see the stories of guys getting drugged and robbed, right? And I was trolling the Passport Bros. But back then I did come across some of the comments from the locals. And I used to click translate, and I used to see some evil stuff. So this is years and years of building up. And now that I'm hearing to this point over there, right? And I'm not mad, I can understand them going after the pedophiles. I support that. I can understand them you at the angel watch list. But where I have a problem, and it's their house and they can do what they want, but that don't mean I can't call out the bullshit. Whether I'm over here or not, whether I probably never, let's say I never go over there, I'm still gonna get on this internet and speak my opinion on the situation, because right is right and wrong is wrong, and I hate injustice. Where I have a problem with this the mayor and everything is them calling sexual exploitation when a grown man talks to a grown woman, whether in Parquilleras, because from my understanding, from watching all these videos, Parquilleras is not the only place that they selling box at, right? They got thousands of women that's doing what they do, and then the webcam, then it's the women that I see on IG, right? So now back to the topic where they call it sexual exploitation. But prostitution is legal. They have bars, they have brothels, they have all that. They have clubs, and they're owned by Colombian people. These are Colombian women that are not forced. I'm not talking about no underage girls. I'm talking about grown women. When I look at them videos in Parquilleras, I see more women than I see tourists. And where I got a problem is them calling that sexual exploitation. But it's not sexual exploitation if the locals are engaging in this. And that's another thing, the locals do indulge in that. And like I said, it's their country, they can do what they want. But I'm going to call out the injustice regardless, because that is wrong. Now, they say they don't want guys coming over there recording. Fine. Get them up out of there. People coming to the country being disrespectful, get them up out of there. I'm all for that. You know what I mean? But the Chill Capo thing, the way that they did him, and I came across his content, I did not get nobody that was promoting sex tourism. I didn't see that. I didn't see that scrolling his channel. You know what I mean? On IG. I didn't see him in a video with a bunch of prostitutes and stuff like that. So that was fucked up. Also, they said, well, he was promoting sex tourism because he was bringing people to clubs. But these clubs are owned by Colombians. These are legal clubs. They're going to the club, Now, whether they got holes or not, that's neither here or there. But that's not sexual exploitation, It to me, and then I hear the sentiment of gentrification, and in my opinion, it's like sex tourism or sex tourists is being used as the scapegoat for the real intentions of how they feel about tourists. It's really like they hate foreigners and tourists, period. But the sex tourist is the scapegoat. Now, like I said, it's their country. They can do what they want. Anybody going over there, of course, respect the culture, respect whatever. Don't be out there flashing and all that. But to me, I'm going to see this is wrong. Now, whether it's just my opinion and I don't have no power over another country, but I'm going to speak up and say that this is wrong. If it's one thing, if it's bad, if tourists is going over there paying for boxing parquilleras is bad, then it need to be bad for the locals when they should just make it illegal. And I wouldn't have nothing to say about it. I wouldn't have no disagreements. But don't make one group of people look crazy or bad or paint them as sexual exploitation. That's just some cruel shit. And the people that own brothels and the girls that's walking the street, the hundreds of girls that I've been watching YouTube videos for years. I've been seeing stories. Oh, another thing, when I see stories of people getting drugged, whether they was in parquilleras, it's guys that went out there and they were in relationships that wasn't paying for relationships and ended up getting drugged. And the Colombians were in the comments making fun of them. You know what I mean? Celebrating their death. It's guys that were walking down the street and got robbed. Colombians was in the comments celebrating the situation. You know what I mean? When I clicked on a translate. Now, I'm not going to say this every Colombian. That would be wrong, right? But I seen that sentiment. And so my opinion is gathered from all this information that I'm seeing from observing from the outside in. Now, whether I don't have no power or authority or anything to change whatever's going on with the mayor and what they doing in Parquilleras, that's neither here nor there. But I can acknowledge the injustice from afar. As well as at the same time, I can acknowledge the injustice of some of the guys going over there doing too much. So that could be acknowledged as well. The weirdos that's being kicked out, that could be acknowledged as well. I mean, getting caught with 1,000 condoms and dildos, whatever's going on, I can acknowledge that as well. I'm not 100% against of what they're doing, but the hypocrisy and the like I said, to the guys that want to go over there and trick, and I'm not against tricking, so I'm a real one. Like I'm not against it. If I was over there coming to Medellin, I would want to go to Parquilleras because I've watched so many videos. I would want to go over there. I can't say I wouldn't want to hit nothing out there. I'm a real one. I stand on it. You know what I'm saying? But I've never been there, and this is just my observation from afar. You know what I mean? Just watching all the commentary, all the what you call it. As someone that never been there, it seems very dangerous. And with this, the government and the way they cracking down in Medellin, and the hypocrisy and the sentiment of these people. I mean, you're like Thailand, Brazil. Even if you bring up Sosua, right? Medellin Unfiltered. Let's look at Sosua. Sosua wanted to clean up the image. What did they do? They went after the girls. They locked them up. They cleaned the streets up. The girls are still selling box. The girls still doing what they do. They might got to get on a moto and be 20 minutes away. They still out there. You still can have a good time, but you're not going to be out, see them videos no more with thousands of girls outside posted, poppy twerking and all that in the suit. You feel me? They cleaned up the streets. But with Medellin, it's like instead of addressing their local issue, they're addressing the tourists. And it's confusing and it's weird. Like I said, I understand get rid of the pedophiles, I understand get rid of the people showing their cameras and all that, recording the girls and getting rid of all that. I'm not even mad at that. But they're targeting tourists for something that they have in this country for tourists and locals. You know, it's crazy. It's like somebody coming to Colombia to buy food, which is legal, and you're mad at tourists and you're mad at the tourists for buying food, but you don't have no issue for the vendors or the restaurants. They should be closed down, and that's just where I stand with it. You know what I mean? Either it's 100% wrong, it can't be 50% wrong. You know, and that's just my opinion. I don't have no power. Big respect. I don't have no say so in that country, but that's just my observation from someone that's never been and watching years of content, you know, and seeing so many people get drugged, robbed, everything under the sun. Who look at like that pilot guy? He wasn't here for he wasn't in Parquilleras. He wasn't there for no prostitutes. And look what happened to him. So, you know, it is what it is. But that's just my big shout out to you. That's just my observation. You know what I mean? And I don't have no say so, no power in the situation, you know, but that's just my observation.